Hello, I'm going to show you a butternut squash recipe today that goes in the Instant Pot. So there's not a lot of cleanup in this one. Everything's going to get thrown into one pot. We're going to start off with 6 cups of raw squash. I use butternut squash. I always cut the squash in half. It's just easier to get the skin off. But I've already cubed some of it up, but I just kind of wanted to show you that with a big sharp knife, you can just kind of go down the edge of it and make sure you get all the skin off. You can kind of clean it up if you need to. And then I just take this. This is the neck of it, so. But I always cut it in half and make sure you get all your seeds scooped out of the other end and kind of chop it up into 1-inch cubes. This is squash that we planted last year, and we got to harvest it in September, and it's now March, so it lasted quite a while. But I love the butternut squash. We like to roast it, and I just make this soup a lot with it. You can put different ingredients on top when it's all done. It's really good. But it's a rainy, cold, dreary day today, so this is a really good day to make this soup. And if you go a little over 6 cups, it's not a big deal. But just make sure you kind of rough chop that. And then that just gets dumped in the pot. And then I'm using a medium yellow onion, and you can just kind of rough chop this as well, because when this is all cooked, I use my immersion blender to puree everything, so I just kind of give it a good rough chop. So that's 1 medium size yellow onion. And it just gets thrown in there. And 2 or 3 cloves of garlic. And again, this is our garlic that we harvested last July. It's just now starting to go bad, so I need to use it up. But I just rough chop the garlic and throw that in there. And then it's a teaspoon of chili powder. And a teaspoon of cumin, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And I just use the kosher salt usually in any recipe that I use. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. And then 3 cups of, you can either use chicken stock or vegetable stock, or chicken broth is what I'm using. I've never tried it with the vegetable broth, but I'm sure it's just as good. And then that's it. Everything's in the pot. And you're going to put the lid on. Make sure your valve is set to sealing. And then this is the soup, so I'm just going to push the soup broth button, and it will automatically go to 30 minutes, which is what you want to do this for. And that's it for now. When this is done, I will get the immersion blender out and show you how to puree it. Okay, so the only addition I do for this soup recipe is I make a grilled cheese, and it's it's a pretty basic grilled cheese. The only thing I do different is I add some really thin apple slices, and I peeled the apple and just sliced it really thin. And I've heated my cast iron skillet, so it's all ready to go. But it's a basic grilled cheese, so I just buttered 2 slices of bread. And the cheese that I like to use on mine is I use an extra sharp cheddar cheese. And you can just lay as many apple slices as you want on there. And then I top it with another slice of extra sharp cheddar cheese. And Nate likes his with extra sharp cheddar cheese and pepper jack, so I'm going to do one of those for him. But the apple in there really goes well with the butternut squash, so I would recommend trying it. It sounds kind of strange, but it's really good. But I'm going to get these grilled cheese going, and then we're going to go back over to the Instant Pot, and I'm going to puree the soup. Okay, so the soup is done. I did a quick release, and the pin has dropped, so I'm going to take off the lid. And everything is really tender in there. I'm going to use my immersion blender. And when you're using this, it will spatter a little bit, so I would stand back a little bit and make sure it's immersed fully into the pot, or everything's going to go everywhere. But I'm going to turn this on to a low speed to start and get everything mashed up and pureed. And it's not a super thick soup. You want to make sure that you get everything blended really well. If you don't have an immersion blender, you could probably use just a regular blender, or maybe even your processor. Let the soup cool first, and then you could heat it on the stove. But this immersion blender works pretty quick. It doesn't spatter too bad, but you just want to make sure that the garlic and the onions and the squash much pureed. If you have some chunks, that's okay, but I like mine to be a little bit more smooth. Don't wear anything that you care about either, because it will get on your clothes. But the squash that I used in this soup were 2 medium-sized squash. So as long as you get 6 cups out of it, you could maybe even get by with 1 really large butternut squash. But I think that is pretty well blended. So I'm going to dish this up and show you what we like to put on top of ours. But you can see how smooth the immersion blender got. Soup, all the chunks are out. We like to finish our soup off with just a little bit of heavy cream, or you could use half and half. And I like these little pepitas, the pumpkin seeds. I just like to sprinkle some of those over top. It adds a different texture, and it's really good that way. And then I do a little bit of blue cheese crumbles. just a couple of crackers. And you can serve it with your apple grilled cheese, and you have a really nice full meal. And I hope you try this. So thanks for watching.